you for
I call this meeting of the Kent County Commissioners to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we observe a moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives throughout the world due to natural disasters. Thank you. We have two sets of minutes, regular and liquor minutes. Your pleasure.
motion to approve? Second.
All right, move and second the aforementioned minutes be approved as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. We have a Class C license application for beer, wine, and liquor from the Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company for a graduation party at the Chesapeake Room in Rock Hall. That's going to be on June 16th. In addition to that, we have an application, Class C application for beer from the Sergeant Preston Ashley American Legion Auxiliary Unit 228 for Waterman's Day and on the Rock Hall bulkhead on July 1st. A Class C license application for beer from the Sergeant Preston Ashley American Legion Auxiliary Unit 228 for July 4th at the Rock Hall Civic Center on July 4th. License application for beer from the Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company, a fish fry at the firehouse on July 7th. And a beer, wine, and liquor license application from the Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company for a gun and cash bash at the Rock Hall Fire Hall on July 28th. Since these are applications for a liquor license requiring a public hearing, this is that public hearing. Anyone have any comments for or against the aforementioned applications? Hearing none.
Second.
Probably moving second, the aforementioned applications be approved as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. I have a public hearing for the Kitty Night House.
Nice to meet you, dear. William Picker. Hello. Nice to meet you. William Picker.
Yes, you can sit down. There, put the inspector. This is application for on sale beer, wine, liquor restaurant license for the new owners of the Kitty Night House. And so this is a premises that historically has been a restaurant and it's going to be reopening. I'd like to have anybody that's going to testify, which I believe need one of the applicants and Mr. Edler, or you're both going to speak. You can both. Okay. She's the smart one, right? Okay, need you to stand. Okay, very good. You solemnly promise or swear under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give in the matter before us shall be true to the best of your knowledge and belief. Okay. I do have a question for you that you were purchasing the real estate, and that did go through, correct?
Yes.
So you are now the title holder?
Yes.
Okay. So I think when you first made application, you had one settlement, yeah?
May 1st.
Okay, so that's good. Okay. Mr. Adler, anything that you wish to say about this application?
The application process, taking the tips class, everything's ready to go.
Okay. And I reviewed everything, and the only question I had was with respect to the ownership of the premises. So if you have not signed an affidavit for the county saying as the owner that you approve of this, we'll need you to do that. Okay. Just want to make sure. And could you just tell us a little bit about your plans for the restaurant, for the record?
The plan is to open soft opening July 1st, hopefully, and then have the deck for the summer, and then come the fall, the tavern will be open. Year round for the tavern. Season.
I don't have any further questions. Again, we've reviewed everything, and everything seems to be...
If I can add one thing real quick. As of July 1, the special Sunday privilege, and more with new legislation. So if they're not getting it until July, then that's kind of a moot point there.
Right. They applied for this, so if the liquor license is granted today, if they're ready to open, they could open before July. So if they open before July, they're under the existing law. If you don't open until July 1st or later, you would be under the new
Any questions?
I have none. Support.
Are there any questions from those in attendance at all, or comments at all? Okay. Hearing.
I make a motion to approve the liquor, the licenses as applied for.
Second.
It's been properly moved second to approve the license to the new owners of the Kitty Night House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I will be forewarned to be forearmed. We do take our liquor license very seriously, so hopefully you'll only be seeing you here for fun and games or positive things. Okay? Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful place. Beautiful spots you have there. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Shelley.
Yes, I have three things for you this evening. The first of which is the Kent County Public Schools FY19 non-recurring cost requests. As approved by the state, there are two items in the request. The first is for fencing, $25,315, and the second is for cameras on the same location, and this is for the new bus depot, and the cameras are in the amount of $9,300 for a total of $34,615 of non-recurring requests.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I probably move in second to approve the revised FY19 non-recurring cost requests. Any discussion? Hearing none. That's it. Already approved in the budget. That request was approved as part of the budget to be adopted.
The second item I have for you tonight is an amendment to a lease. This is a lease that we have with KRM for the property that we call Kent Family Center, and to help meet the budget challenges for this coming year, KRM has offered a rent reduction for the period of performance of July 1st, 18 through the 31st of October 2019, and the reduction is a total of $2,832.80 per year, or a monthly decrease of $236.07.
Okay. Partly moved and second to approve the lease amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously.
Seldom do we have a decrease in rent. That was good.
And the final item that I have for you is something that we've discussed a few times. We had canceled all of the tower leases with the wireless internet providers due to the fact that we were taking the courthouse tower offline. We have created new leases that are effective today, and the biggest difference is that there is one lease per tower per wireless internet service provider. And in the past, there was one lease per provider, and all the towers were lumped into the same lease. So if there was a change with one of the towers, then effectively the entire...
Take one lease down if we decide to do something.
Correct. That's exactly right. So they are all included. There are 9 leases total included in the packet for signature.
Okay.
And they have been reviewed by me, Wayne, and Scott.
Okay, Pat? The County Commissioners of Kent County will hold a public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2019 budget on Tuesday, June 5th, tonight at 6 p.m. All regular meetings of the County Commissioners of Kent County are open meetings, and the public is encouraged to attend. Those who desire to make a testify or make statements, again, it's our desire that everyone who wishes to contribute to this democratic process be given a fair and uninterrupted opportunity to be heard. To ensure equal opportunity for individual input for the topic under discussion, certain rules must be followed by all persons who are to testify. The rules to govern our hearings are few, but are intended to guide our proceedings. The hope is that each person testifying will be self-governed, thereby contributing to fairness for all. We will remind anyone who testify that he or she has violated the rules of the proceeding. 1, please sign the testimony log, which is in the back corner of this room, if you desire to speak. All speakers must identify themselves and use the area designated for the purpose of testifying, and we use the microphone, which is right here in front of us, and each person testifying will have 3 minutes for his or her remarks. The county administrator will give a 2-minute warning, which will be indicated by a yellow card, and at the end of the 3 minutes, it'd be to stop at the end, indicated by a red card. So we will maintain order by voice commands, and please stick to the issues at hand. Written comments will be accepted until Friday, June 8th, 2018 at 12 noon in the Commissioner's office or by email to kentcounty@kentgov.org.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go through a PowerPoint for the FY 2019 budget. And let's start by looking at the general fund revenues. So, sorry, let me move down here so I can see it a little bit. 65% of the revenues come from property taxes, 28% come from income taxes, and 7% come from other sources. So 93% of the revenue for the general fund comes directly from the citizens of Kent County in the form of taxes. And if the county wanted to increase the revenue in the general fund, it would come directly from the citizens in the form of these taxes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how our rates compare. Kent County's current property tax rate is $1.02. We have the 7th highest property tax rate in the state. We have the 2nd highest rate on the shore. We're about 2 cents less than Cecil County. We're also approximately 17.5 cents higher than Queen Anne's, that has a current well, these are the 18 rates, and I believe Queen Anne's rate hasn't changed, of 84.71 cents. So if the county were to increase its property tax rate, a 1% increase in the rate would generate about $300,000 in additional revenue. Okay, so on the income tax side, Kent County's current income tax rate is 2.85%. We have the 16th highest rate in the state and the 5th highest rate on the shore, so we're kind of right in the middle on the shore. If the county were to increase the income tax rate to its maximum amount of 3.2%, it would generate a little over $1.5 million, but it wouldn't be fully phased in for 3 fiscal years because of the way that we get the money from the state. So the fiscal year 2019 budget does not include any property or income tax rate changes. Okay, so now let's look at the recent revenue growth. This chart shows the revenue growth in millions between fiscal year 2014 and fiscal year 2019. The light blue bar on the left is the total property the total revenue. The next one down is our property tax revenue, followed by income tax and other revenues. So you can see in 2014, the general fund revenue was $47.6 million. In FY19, the total revenue is $47.4 million. It's $200,000 below the FY14 level. If we look at our property tax revenue, in FY14 it was $30.2 million. It's actually risen slightly by $0.7 million to $30.9 million in FY19. Our income tax revenue was $13.7 million in FY14, and it's down $700,000 to $13 million in FY19. And our other revenues have decreased slightly by about $200,000. So to say the least, the revenue growth has presented a challenging environment for the county operations. So let's talk a little bit about what's been done and what is being done to meet this challenge. First, this Board of County Commissioners has aggressively paid down debt. The county has reduced $21.5 million of its debt between 2012 and 2017. That was 52% of its debt, 22% of it was retired early. So the effect of reducing that debt was that our annual debt service payments have come down by $1.6 million. Okay, next, the commissioners have looked at changing the way the county does business. Two of the examples of this are our health insurance and our fleet management. Several years ago, the county switched from bidding out our health insurance every year to joining the local government insurance trust and becoming self-insured. This change has resulted in drastically lower rates for us. The last time we bid out our insurance, our rate increase was 18%. Since we've been with the trust, our increases have averaged about 5%. In addition to that, we get a return of our premiums based on our experience, and we've had a return of just about $2 million since we've joined the trust. Another way we're looking at changing the way we do business is through our fleet management. In the fiscal year 2019 budget, we're going to start leasing our vehicles instead of purchasing them. By making this change, we anticipate a savings of $650,000 over the next 10 years, and that's going to be recouped through a variety of things. It's going to be vehicle ownership costs, maintenance, and fuel costs. So next, this board has also put forth several economic development initiatives. Currently, we are just completing one of the largest infrastructure projects the county has undertaken, the installation of an open access fiber network. Excuse me. This network is going to provide high-speed, no-cost internet access to 69 anchor institutions throughout the county. It's going to provide it to all of our schools, our libraries, our governments, both town and county, our police stations, our fire companies, Humane Society, Visitor Center, and water towers. It's also going to create homework hotspots, which are going to be public access areas such as parks, beaches, and pools, where the citizens are going to be able to access the internet at no cost. We're also looking at having open Wi-Fi access in downtown Chestertown and Main Street Rock Hall. Okay, so also in the area of economic development, the Commissioners have implemented 2 credits to promote business growth. In fiscal year 2018, they created the Commerce Zone Credit. This program gives a property tax credit for business creation and expansion in the designated commerce zones. Currently, 2 businesses have invested $2 million in our commerce zones. The second credit is the Enterprise Zone Credit. In 2016, the Commissioners designated enterprise zones within the county, and this program gives a property tax credit for business creation and expansion in the enterprise zones, as well as an income tax credit for jobs created in the enterprise zone. Currently, we have 2 businesses investing $23 million in our enterprise zones, with a potential for that to go as high as $80 million. We're also, those same businesses anticipate that the future creation could be up to 450 new jobs. Okay, so in addition to the enterprise zone credits, the County Commissioners and the Director of Economic Development worked with one of our major employers to leverage $1.2 million in state funding for this business under 2 different state programs. The Economic Development Director worked countless hours with both the state agencies and the business, and the County Commissioners also spent a considerable amount of time in meetings and conversations with state officials to help bring this funding to fruition. These funds, along with the enterprise credit, were a big contributing factor in that company to stay and remain in Kent County. The Commissioners have also revived the revolving loan fund, and currently we have given loans to 3 local businesses. The county will also be increasing the funding to the Economic Development Department in this budget. We're going to increase it by 1 staff person, and there'll be additional allocations done to, additional increases in the marketing dollars. So overall, this board's been extremely active on the economic development front, and now we're really starting to see the expansion of business within the county because of these efforts. Okay, so let's move on to talk about the FY19 revenues. The FY19 revenues are increasing about $400,000. You can see by the slide, property taxes and income taxes are going up slightly. Recordation and property transfers are coming down slightly. So the overall impact is that there'll be $400,000 of new money in fiscal year 19. In addition to the $400,000 in new revenues, our expenditures between FY18 and FY19 are going down. So our targeted fund balance is also going to decrease because it's 7.5% of our expenditures. So that will also free up $200,000 of money that can be spent by keeping the budget in balance. So available for recurring spending in FY19, we have a total of $600,000. So we have $600,000 of new money, and we had budget requests of $2,181,000. Our public schools requested $806,000. Our county departments and agencies requested $1,375,000. And this is, excuse me, coming to a total of the $2,181,000. So the decision was made to allocate the new recurring dollars between the public schools and the county departments and agencies on a percentage basis. The public schools make up 38% of the recurring budget in FY18, so they receive 38% of the new dollars. The county departments and agencies made up 62% of the FY18 recurring expenditures, and they receive 62% of the new dollars. So based on this methodology, the public school funding was reduced by $578,000, and county department and agency requests were reduced by $1,003,000. Okay, so here are some of the specific actions that were taken to balance the county department and agency budgets. Salary increases were reduced to 2%. 5.5 new position requests were not funded. Agency requests were reduced by an average of 2%. Operating expenditures were reduced by an average of 1.5%. 1.2 million of capital projects was delayed. You can see the projects listed there. And we also had 1.5 million of capital items, which would include some of our larger equipment. Most of it was in the public works area that were either cut or delayed. So when all that was said and done, this is what the county's proposed budget looks like. It's important to note that we look at it in two pieces, the recurring and the non-recurring, because the funding comes from two different sources. The recurring new money is only $600,000, and the one-time money, the non-recurring portion, will be funded by the portion of the fund balance that exceeds the county's target of 7.5%. So you can see for the recurring expenditures, the county portion is $29,819,000. It's an increase of $495,000. The public schools request is $17,840,000, or an increase of $228,000. On the non-recurring side, the expenditures total just over $1.4 million. It's actually a large decrease from last year, a little over $5 million, but that's because the fiber project was completed in FY 2008, so that's why you see that large decrease. Okay, so how does the proposed budget affect our fund balance? The county, is projecting to start FY19 with a fund balance of $4.5 million. $1.7 million of that is above our target fund balance and can be used to fund the current budget. And we are going to use it. You can see we're going to use it for non-recurring. We're actually going to use $100,000 of it for recurring. And that will leave the county with an ending fund balance of $3.7 million, which is exactly our target of 7.5%. And one comment I would like to make here, I know we have a lot of conversation about fund balance. One of the main reasons the county needs fund balance is its revenues come in a very uneven stream. We need $2 million to keep a positive cash position to pay our bills. So even though that 7.5, that 3.7 million sounds like a lot, 2 million of it is really needed to just get the bills out the door in those low periods of revenue cash flow. Okay, so let's take a more detailed look at the county expenditures. And we're going to look at the recurring expenditures first. And this slide shows the recurring expenditures by function from the largest to the smallest. The largest portion of the county budget is education. The recurring education expenditures include the appropriation and also the debt service on public school capital projects. And that totals $17.8 million. The next largest function of county government is our public safety department. That includes the Sheriff's Office, the Office of Emergency Services, 911, Emergency Medical Services, the Detention Center, the Humane Society, Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement. That part of the budget is $10.7 million. Next is general government, coming in at $6.3 million. General government includes a lot of our departments. It includes the Commissioner's Office, Finance, Planning, HR, IT, the Election Office, our Circuit Courts, our Orphans Court, our State's Attorney's Office, and our building maintenance. The next section of the budget would be Public Works at $5.3 million. That includes our roads department, our recycling and our waste management, our public landings, our engineering, and our public works administration. Our culture and recreation budget is $2.3 million. The largest part of that is our Parks and Rec budget, but it also includes the library and the Arts Council. Debt service totals $1.2 million, and that includes the principal and interest payments on the government projects. Transfer to other funds, a little over $1 million. That is mostly made up of our transfer to our water wastewater enterprise fund. Health and welfare comes in at $900,000. That includes our health department, Department of Social Services, and other social service agencies that we fund. Then we have contingency, tourism, economic development, and other. So that gives you a good idea of the level of the funding by function of the budget. And then we'd like to talk a little bit about the change in funding. So we talked about the overall increase in the funding, but where is it going? So this graph shows which departments are receiving increases in funding and which departments are receiving decreases in funding. The two areas that are receiving the largest increase in funding are public safety and public schools. And the departments that are receiving decreases in funding are culture and recreation, tourism, transfers, and other. So let's start by talking about the decreases. Culture and recreation, the largest part of that number is that in fiscal year 2018, we had to make several large non-recurring repairs to our pools. And so that really increased our budget in FY18. So those costs, expenses will not be recurring in 19, so we're seeing a decrease there. We also had some decrease in seasonal in salaries. And so that is what makes up the largest part of that number. In tourism, the staffing is being reduced by one position. That's why that's going down. The transfers, there is going to be a lower transfer to the Water Wastewater Services Fund this year. And that's mostly just due to lower expenditures. And the other is a combination of a lot of other functions. Okay, so now if we move on to talk about the areas that are receiving additional funding. Public safety. The $421,000 increase in public safety is largely due to 4 new positions. We're going to have 1 new school resource officer in the Sheriff's Department. That's going to be out at the middle school. And we're also going to have 3 emergency medical technicians basic at the Emergency Medical Services Department. And these positions are going to be used to supplement volunteers to staff ambulances and reduce patient response times. And also in public safety, we have some training for new officers. Okay, public schools. The unrestricted fund appropriation for 2019 is $17,194,000. That appropriation is $303,000 over maintenance of effort, which is $16,891,000 this year, and it's $228,000 over last year's funding. And like the
difference in that number is because of the decrease in population, is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
Because by law, we could reduce the per pupil funding because of a declining population, and we chose not to. And then you add that with 38% of the 600,000, and that's how you come up with the total. Is that right?
That is correct. Okay, and like the county, the public schools carry a fund balance. The Board of Education is responsible for managing the fund balance and setting its fund balance policy, and has established a target for its fund balance of $500,000. So they plan on entering fiscal year 2019 with a fund balance of $1.3 million. They're going to use $695,000 in their fiscal year 2019 budget, and this number is about $109,000 less than the fund balance that was used in the FY18 budget. So all in all, that will leave them an ending fund balance of $605,000 at the end of FY19, which will be about $105,000 above their target. Okay, so now let's look at some historical funding to the public schools. This schedule, I hope you can read it. Can you guys see it back there? Okay. So the schedule has a lot of information on it. It shows the funding from 1999 to 2019. It shows the maintenance of effort level for each year.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a minute. Can you go back one slide?
I can.
They have a fund balance of $1.3 million, and they intend on spending $695,000 of it, which leaves 605.
Correct.
If you add that 605 to the 300 some that they're going to get in addition over MOE, that's a total of 900 some thousand that they can use at their discretion. Is that right or wrong?
Yes, it's fund balance, and that policy is the same way that we set our fund balance policy, they set their fund balance policy. Okay, So, looking at the schedule and the historical numbers, this chart shows maintenance of effort from 1999 to 2019. It shows what the recurring appropriation from the county to the public school system was. It shows what the increase or decrease of that appropriation over maintenance of effort was. The next column shows the number of students and the number of buildings in the school system. So there's been a lot of talk about the historical funding from the county to the schools, and we thought this was a great snapshot to capture it. So if you look at the schedule, and we kind of broke it up into two pieces. If you look at the change between 2009 and 2019, the funding from the county and the appropriation has been a little over $2.2 million over maintenance of effort. The number of students during that same period of time has gone down by 216 students, about 10%, and the number of buildings has gone down by 3, or 33%. If we go and we look at the whole period from 1999 to 2019, the increase in funding of maintenance of the appropriation over maintenance of effort is a little over $10 million. In that same period of time, there are 787 less students, or 30% of the population, and there are 3 less buildings, or 33% less in bricks and mortar. Okay, this schedule, also historical, compares the budget expenditures to the actual expenditures from 2013 to 2018. During the 6-year period, the actual expenditures have been less than the budget expenditures by about $5.3 million, and on average, it's a little under $900,000 a year. So if we want to look at how Kent compares with the other counties, one of the charts that is routinely used is the cost per pupil. This chart compares the cost per pupil for all 24 jurisdictions, and hopefully you can see that highlighting didn't come out too good. But Kent County funds education per pupil at the 4th highest level in the state, behind Worcester, Somerset, and Baltimore City. And the funding is $16,524 per student. This slide shows how the public school budgets are funded proportionately by the state and the counties. So if we look at the schedule, Kent County Public Schools receives 38.2% of its funding from the state, and it receives 56.4% from the county. So from this table, we can see that the county funding ranks 6th in the state, and the state funding ranks 19th. Okay, so we talked about a lot of numbers, and in addition to talking about the numbers associated with the budget, we wanted to spend some time talking about the non-monetary collaborations between the county and the schools. So the first one on the list is the high-speed internet service. Once the fiber is completed, it will provide high-speed internet access to all of the public schools. Kent County IT staff works with the public school system and does some networking engineering for them. It helps them with those services. Kent County budget will provide for the school resource officers to be in the middle school and the high school. The Kent County grounds maintenance helps out with the athletic fields and with cutting the grass for the public schools. The community center facility in the county park waive all fees for the public schools, except for the pool and grant-funded programs. We've also had a couple instances where the county roads department has gone out and repaired some potholes in the parking lots for the school facilities. Right now, the buses are temporarily out at the Public Works Complex and are doing their fueling there. So there's been a lot of collaboration. And on the other side, the public schools have given land for the solar field and the community center. They've also donated a freezer. We were here in a workshop. The county expressed the need for a freezer for the concession stand, and the school said we have one, we'll donate it. The public schools also provide storage space at Wharton Elementary for the county, and they waive building use fees for meetings for the county. They also provide space for county programs, after-school basketball and wrestling, and do advertisement for county-wide events. So I think in addition to the dollars, we just wanted to talk about some of the non-monetary, positive collaborations that are being made between the agencies. Okay, so if we return to the categories, after public safety, the debt service was increasing by $144,000. That represents our new lease payments with Enterprise Fleet Management. As we said earlier, we anticipate a 10-year savings of $650,000. One of the main benefits is this is going to significantly reduce the age of our fleet. Right now, the age of our fleet, I think, the sheriff's vehicles are about 9 years, and the other county vehicles, I think, are around 15 years. This program is going to eventually get all of our vehicles down on a 5-year cycle, which will greatly reduce maintenance and fuel costs. So the next largest increase by category was in Public Works. It's going up by $121,000. This is primarily due to the reinstatement of the Director of Public Works position and an administrative assistant. Health and Welfare is going up $56,000 as a category, really being split amongst those departments. Probably the largest program increase in there is to the Health Department for their post-adjudication supervised treatment program. As we had mentioned, we're also going to have an increase in economic development with a new position and some additional marketing dollars. Okay, so now if we look at the non-recurring expenses. The non-recurring expenses total just under $1.4 million. And there are public school projects in here for $458,000. We have the repayment to the state for the Millington Elementary School construction costs, and we have $718,000 in county projects. So we'll look at each one of these. So on the public school side, there's $138,000 in there for the Rock Hall Elementary School targeted renovations. There's $106,000 in there for security vestibules in 5 schools. $91,000 in there for the Rock Hall Elementary School roof. $88,000 in there for the Galena renovation, and $35,000 in non-recurring costs for the bus fencing and security. So I think it's worth noting that those projects in there that have the asterisks, and this represents the engineering cost for those projects, and we're going to be looking at $5.5 million in construction for those projects that would be anticipated to be completed between FY20 and FY22. Okay, on this county projects, our largest project is a replacement of our maintenance facility. What we used to refer to as the Wharton Arena is on its last legs. It really just probably needs to be taken down, and we're going to replace it with a new facility to give us some storage and to rehouse our maintenance staff. We have $227,000 in here for an upgrade that needs to be done at the Nicholson treatment plant. We have $50,000 in here for
That Nicholson treatment facility, that is a compliance with an order from MDE. It requires us to do something with our Nicholson landfill.
Yeah, I don't think there's any wiggle room there. We have $50,000 in courthouse repairs in here. This is kind of as a really short-term patch until we look at the bigger project and see what's really needed. There's $38,000 also in here for the second part of a public safety building study, and we have $22,000 in technology upgrades. And just like the projects for the public schools, I think it's really worth noting here that the courthouse and the public safety building are probably going to require substantial investments in the near future. So, okay, and that takes us through the non-recurring. And before ending the presentation, I think it would be helpful to look at the school funding, I guess, as a whole. There's been a lot of conversation about the school funding, and we've kind of looked at it in different pieces, but I thought it would be helpful to bring it all together on one chart so we could talk about all of it. So there's really three components to the public school funding. The appropriation that goes into the unrestricted fund, the non-recurring appropriation that also goes into the non-restricted fund, and the capital projects. So what this chart shows is what was requested, what's included in the proposed budget, and what the increase or decrease of that is over last year's funding. So for the appropriation, the request was $17,773,000. What's in the budget is $17,194,000, and it's an increase of $228,000 over last year's budget of $16,966,000. The non-recurring appropriation of $35,000, the request has been fully funded at $35,000. That number is showing a decrease from fiscal year 2018 funding, but the non-recurring is really project specific. So last year I think it was consolidation costs and some technology, and this year it's fencing and security for the buses. The capital projects, the request for 2019 was $423,000. Again, that's being fully funded at $423,000, and it is an increase of $143,000 over last year's request, and I think that last year's number represents the football field. Okay, so in summary, this year's budget continues to focus on economic development, increases the operating funding to the public schools, it fully funds the public schools capital request, and it's going to provide resources to reduce ambulance patient transport times. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Have some remarks by either?
I'm good.
Okay. Do you have the... First, our comment by our superintendent, Karen Couch. I'm sorry, Dr. Karen Couch. Oh, sure. One? Okay, thanks.
Karen, my name is Karen Couch, and I'm superintendent for Kent County Public Schools. Thank you first for the opportunity to comment this evening. Let me begin by acknowledging your support of Kent County Public Schools through the allocation of non-recurring costs. During my tenure, your allocation of one-time non-recurring funds to purchase student laptops, resurface the Galena parking lot, and complete consolidation projects as reported by Ms. Merritt for the elementary schools are greatly appreciated. In addition, I want to acknowledge your allocation of capital funding to replace the HVAC in the roof at Garnett Elementary, and also completed repairs to the Galena roof and replacement of the Kent County High School football field. The FY19 Kent County Public Schools budget presented to the county commissioners was well thought out by the administration, staff, and the school board. New positions within this budget will provide supports to address the increasing social and emotional needs of our families, students, and provide assistance to address the increased workload of our schools. While we've made great strides in addressing salary inequities, we still must do more to become more competitive and retain quality staff. Teacher and administrator salaries are among the lowest in Maryland. Teacher salaries rank 22 out of 24, and administrator principal salaries rank 24, dead last. There is currently a teacher and administrator shortage, and we are competing with neighboring school systems to recruit and retain staff. The success of Kent County Public Schools greatly depends upon our ability to invest resources in our staff, students, and classrooms. The state's maintenance of effort law was designed to protect that investment by maintaining steady local levels of per pupil funding. Maintenance of effort was never intended to be the ceiling, but as required by law, set the base funding requirement. Consistently funding school systems at maintenance of effort does not and will not address inflation, rising costs, unfunded mandates, and new programs or initiatives. You have a prescription for disaster when this is compounded with declining enrollment. And our enrollment has declined for well over a decade. With less funding, we have consistently reduced our school and operating budgets, including a reduction of over 50 positions to award salary increases to our employees. Now, you referenced some documents about the ranking of school funding, and that is actually due to the those pieces of information are found in the Maryland Department of Legislative Services, and I've given you some copies of some other documents that are contained within that report. The statewide average allocated to public schools by Maryland counties is...
You can continue.
Oh, thank you. 45.6%. Kent County allocates 38% of its budget to the public schools. Kent County ranks 24 out of 24 in per capita expenditures for education and libraries, and those are the two documents that I provided. You did report that Kent County ranks 4th in per pupil funding, and I acknowledge that. It is important to emphasize that the cost for operating a small rural school system will always be greater due to the economy of scale. For example, the cost to operate a small comprehensive high school of 600 students offering 9 CTE pathways is going to cost greater than a similar high school with 1,500 students. Rich learning environments for pre-K to high school require investment. Public schools, public education is a good investment, and it's a value investment in our future workforce, in our community, and the growth and long-term sustainability of our local economy. A strong economy makes for better schools, and we are all stakeholders in public education. The Kent County Public Schools is quickly becoming an outstanding Maryland school system. We've received statewide recognition in the areas of kindergarten readiness, universal pre-K, CTE dual completers, rich fine arts programming, and most recently the recognition of Kent County High School as one of the best high schools in Maryland. As the smallest school system in Maryland, these are not small, nor were they easy accomplishments, and they are directly attributed to the dedication and the quality of our educators, our administrators, and our families. In closing, economic development is the key to our ability to develop and sustain a world-class system, and ultimately will be key for the Kent County Public Schools to survive. Our school system's growth requires a county investment that must go beyond the minimum requirement. Long-term rewards are directly related to the quantity and the quality of your investment. So in closing together, I'm asking that we both find a way to develop a long-term solution to ensure that we can continue to be a strong, viable asset to this community. I appeal to you that Kent County Public Schools must be considered an investment, not an expense to the county's budget. The children in this community depend upon your commitment and investment in their future. Thank you.
Kurt Landgraf, president of Washington College.
Good evening, gentlemen. I sent you a letter last week. I hope that you're in receipt of that. I'm here to support the comments made by Dr. Couch. We've been working closely with her. Two things I would just mention to you, and I don't want to take a lot of your time because you heard a very good discussion about the budget. Whenever you have declining enrollment and you're looking at per capita expenditures and looking at maintenance of effort, you're putting yourself on a downward spiral. I worry about that a lot because we're going to start losing teachers. We're not competitive in terms of our salary base. And with the number of students continuing to go down, we're going to start losing our economic viability, and it becomes for the college increasingly difficult to attract people to come and live in the county. So 2 things I'd like to just close by saying. One, the way I think this county is well run. I know there's lots of people who are asking you for money. I think Dr. Couch's comments are very well. This is very well thought through. We need to think about remembering that we have declining enrollments, but that our needs in the $500,000 more she requested was well thought through and would be put against the programs that are in fact increasing our ability to attract people to the county and making the public schools more viable. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Gail Owens, Eastern Shore Land Conservancy.
Eastern Shore Heritage.
Heritage. I'm sorry.
I'm just here to say thank you for funding our $3,000 request. We will continue to work to bring grants and other economic development through heritage tourism to Kent County, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Hurwitz. I got that right. Okay. Oh, thank you.
Hi, I am Rebecca Harris-Smith. I'm going to be referencing the numbers that impact Kent County Public Schools, not the numbers that we saw in the presentation, because some of that, the public school budget, actually goes to Chesapeake College. And I, like so many others here, have noticed that the proposed budget that was presented tonight includes a massive cut to Kent County Public Schools. It is $13,000 less than last year and $636,000 less than what has actually been requested, even though you've all agreed at different times during this past school year that we actually need to do more than we did last year. All across the country, it has become increasingly clear that we need to see an increase of social workers and counselors in every school. We need to keep up with changing times and the increases in mental health conditions. Earlier in this school year, there was a lot of support from the commissioners for hiring more support staff to help with these kinds of issues and to help identify kids who may need even more follow-up and care. But this proposed budget that we saw tonight will not allow for that. We can't increase staff with even less money than we had last year. Please don't hide behind the line, we don't determine how the budget is spent. You received a proposed budget from Dr. Couch with a requested amount for each line item. The budget detailed everything that Kent County Public Schools, our kids, and our teachers need. You cannot add these crucial positions without increased funding or without cutting programs. And I don't know if you've actually been paying attention for the last few years, but there's already been so many things cut. Jobs have been cut, programs, the late afternoon school bus. Now kids can't stay for after-school activities. You've got people in Kennedyville complaining that there's nothing for these kids to do except get in trouble. That was an actual discussion at a candidate Q&A that I attended 2 weeks ago. Residents complaining that the kids don't have enough to do. Therefore, we cannot keep making cuts. It is affecting everyone in the community now. It is actually remarkable to me that we still have as many wonderful programs as we do. Our teachers and staff are spinning gold out of almost nothing, but they cannot keep doing this. Voting for the budget as it was proposed tonight is a vote against our public schools, which in turn is a vote against Kent County. Everyone in a community benefits from having good schools. Good schools improve home values. Good schools help create good citizens. Good schools help keep businesses and families here. I would implore you to make the right decision and vote to support our schools like you keep saying you do. Show me this time. Don't keep telling me. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the last day to register to vote before the primary. If you're not already registered, please hurry and do so. You can do it from your phone. That's how I did it. These commissioners will be voting on this proposed budget, I believe, next week.
Your time has expired.
It expired?
Yes.
Oh, when I timed it, I came in at 2:30.
It's expired. Thank you. Jim Luff.
Thank you, Commissioners. Jim Luff. Actually, I'll read a statement. I'm here to not only support full funding for our education system, but to talk about the measurement of commitment to that system. When the Economic Development Commission presented the updated strategic plan to you in 2017, there was an overarching goal of education excellence. It states, support Kent Forward's initiative to make Kent County Public School System one of the top 5 in the state. Further, there's a paragraph in the comprehensive plan that was just recently approved by this Board of Commissioners dealing with education, and it states, Kent County should strive to have the best school system in the state and cater to the needs of all students. This will require innovative practices and outreach to business and community leaders. Both of those documents had your commitment and your approval. We all know the stories about families leaving the county to seek better schools for their children. We know the stories about prospective employees being advised to live in other counties with purported superior school systems. Our school system, with the support of groups like Kent Forward, SOS, and others, have been and are working extremely hard to change those perceptions. True economic development can occur with a top-ranked school system, which will attract employees, businesses, home buyers, and other people to come to our county. In various commissioner meetings last year, you all have always indicated your support of that system. What I see now is an erosion of that support and that commitment. Something has led you to waver in your total support of the school system. Yes, there is support, but not to the level that will allow our schools to continue moving toward a high level of excellence. We must make that commitment to a superior school system. You've talked about economic development through the reports that Pat gave you. A foundation, a linchpin of economic development is a superior school system. This county has always prided itself on the ability to come together and find the solutions to our challenges. Just look how the community has come together on the hospital and bridge issues. This time is no different. Look at the support in this room for the school system. There is still time to find ways to collaborate and solve the funding challenges. We cannot regress, we cannot lose momentum, and we cannot afford to lose one more family. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Ed Silver. I'm the Human Resources Supervisor with Kent County Public Schools. I've been a teacher and a principal and administrator in Kent County for 28 years. So I have some perspective over what we've had to do over the years to continue to strive to make our schools as great as they can be. You know, when you talk about great schools, there are two things in every bit of research, and that is high-quality teachers and strong leadership. And those are the two things, if you look at our requests, they're the things that we want to focus on and what we're asking for. How do we support those high-quality teachers? And we've talked about that before, about having competitive salaries so that when we go out and we recruit teachers, we can attract the best here. And as Dr. Couch said, we don't compare with our neighbors. We don't always compare with those around the state or the region. The second, though, is effective leadership, and that's a much maligned group. And I risk saying that because it has been the area that we've tightened the belt more than any other. 6 years ago, we had 26 administrators in this county. We now have 16. We have reduced students, we have reduced schools, but the same requirements from the state, the expectations from our parents, the accountability that's there is resting on a much smaller group. I look in the eyes of the administrators in our system, and I see a group that is working incredibly long hours, spending much time, and oftentimes getting beaten up on social media on things that are even out of their control. So as we look at this, one of the things we have to look at is not just that we're competitive for our teachers, but that we have competitive salary and benefits for our administrators as well. We tried to address that in our budget request. That has been something. Kent County has two rivers, either side of the county, the Chester and the Sassafras. If our administrators were to cross either one of those rivers today, they'd be making $20,000 to $30,000 more per year. There's a commitment here because we're committed to our kids. But when I look forward, how are we going to retain, how are we going to recruit high-quality leadership going forward? How do we do it? How do we start that? By funding the budget of the Kent County Board of Education. Thank you.
Wendy Keene.
Good evening. I am Wendy Keene, and I'm an administrator with Kent County Public Schools. To make a difference in a child's life, we need these high-quality people. Every student needs a connection with at least one caring adult in a school, whether it's the teacher, an instructional assistant, an administrator, custodian, cafeteria worker, secretary, or even our volunteers. These caring adults in a child's life are what's going to matter. In the work that we do every day, we are experiencing more and more children who need a caring adult and need a person who is going to make a difference in their lives. The trauma that our children are experiencing every day not only affects the brain and their biological systems, but also affects their belief systems. Trust is hard for many of us, and those that have been affected by trauma experience more stressors and often present themselves in a guarded manner that makes them exhibit inappropriate types of behaviors and those feelings under normal circumstances. While I understand the county commissioners do not assign line items specific to the Kent County Public School budget, you do provide the overall funding that is necessary to fulfill those line items. In order to continue the good work that is moving Kent County Public Schools forward, the entire budget needs to be funded. Our teachers work hard every day. As a mom, I appreciate the dedication and connections that these teachers are making with our children every day to equip them to become citizens and give back to our community. As an administrator, I know I work with the most dedicated staff and teachers who are moving our system forward. Funding this budget should be the priority to ensure that our students are career and college ready. Thank you.
Karen Miller. Karen Miller. From Kent School? Yeah. Oh, Kent Soil. There you go.
Sorry, it's late. My handwriting's bad. Karen Miller, Kent Soil and Water Conservation District. I just want to once again thank you for supporting our budget request fully. It means a lot to us. And just to let you know, a couple of years ago we lost one of our state positions when Danny Macchione moved on to another position, and found out last week we got our pin back. So for once we'll be able to get up and running and hopefully get some even more cost share money back into the county so that we can bring more money back here. So thank you again.
Yeah. Jody Bartz.
My name is Jody Bortz. I'm one of the founders of SOS. I'm a KCHS graduate, a business owner, and a parent of 2 kids in Kent County Public Schools. Lots of us here tonight are going to try to convince you to change your minds about the budget. They're going to plead their case, tell you how cutting the Board of Education budget will hurt teachers, students in general, or their kids specifically. They'll talk about the value of a good school system to economic development, and no doubt you'll respond with your standard lines that we don't tell the Board of Ed how to spend their money, or that we should take our issues to Annapolis, which we've done. You say these things knowing full well you've tied their hands by underfunding our schools yet again. I'm not here to try to explain the damage you're doing, because you already know how cutting the budget will affect everyone. The entire budget process was pointless because of Apparently your minds were made up just before it started. I sat here 2 weeks ago and heard one of you say, just give everyone roughly what they got last year and cross our fingers for a better year next year. And so here we are. I haven't given up on Kent County, but I have given up on you. High school students and community leaders stand before you and call you out for your lack of leadership, and you deflect. We have meetings with you and with county employees to try to find common ground or some way forward, but they're just as stuck as we are. We ask anyone that might listen for advice about how we can get through to you that this budget needs to be funded. The thing is, you've all been in these meetings, in these positions for years. What we've seen, what I've seen after 3 years of watching this budget process play out, is that what we see is apparently all we're going to get from you. So I'm not going to try to convince you to change your minds because you already know this isn't good, it isn't right, and people are probably going to lose their jobs, and our children will suffer for it. I hope you'll reconsider and go back to the drawing board and try again to distribute our tax dollars in a way that does less harm, but I have no faith that you will. You may have noticed the room has been more full lately, and especially tonight. People are watching your meetings online now, a service you said was too costly and cumbersome to provide. They're learning that this is not a space where problems get solved. Now that the meetings are accessible to those who work at night, are disabled, or don't have a car to drive here, or need child care or elder care, those people who couldn't be involved are tuning in. So whether you fix this now, or whether you win or lose the upcoming elections, get used to this level of scrutiny because we are watching you.
Francois Sullivan.
Good evening. It's freezing in here. First, I have a packet from copies of the petition that we've been circulating. We have over 300 members or over 300 residents who have signed requesting that you fully fund our budget, so I'll pass it to you when I'm done. By now, you know who I am, but I wanted to say I'm Francois Sullivan. I'm a resident small business owner in Kent County. I've lived here for 16 years. I have one child in Kent County Public Schools and another who will attend next school year. I'm an active PTA member and an active community member. I work primarily with nonprofits and with other small businesses. When SOS met with each of you individually to talk about the school budget, William and Ron both assured us that we would not be disappointed with the funding that the schools would receive. I left those meetings feeling cautiously optimistic. Billy assured us the opposite, that he did not support providing the funding that Dr. Couch was asking for. Since that time, I've attended multiple meetings here and heard week by week how your support for our schools has dwindled. You claimed at the last meeting that you do not make line item decisions for the Board of Education, yet during this entire budget cycle, you've repeatedly made statements to the contrary. You do not think they need a fence for the bus depot. You do not think we need a 3-year-old program. You do not think we need social workers. And you will provide some of the salary increases for our teachers. I understand that you have to make decisions for the entire county and all of the departments. I also understand that you continue to anticipate flat revenues. If the reason that you cannot fully fund the school budget is because our county lacks the funds and not because of your personal feelings about fences, 3-year-old programs, social workers, and teacher salaries, then you need to be clear about that in your official capacity. I'm not going to ask what you plan to do to improve revenues, to support our schools, to make Kent County more than a destination. Instead, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to vote for any of you. I'm going to encourage my friends and neighbors to do the same. I'm going to use my resources to help others in our community become more involved in the decisions being made on their behalf. Thank you.
Elizabeth Prophet? That's right. Are you getting the last name right?
Yeah, Prophet. My name is Elizabeth Prophet. I spoke last week on the importance of social workers. I watched as you, Pigram, read a proclamation signed by all three that makes May Mental Health Month. In the proclamation, it states, whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare providers, organization, citizens share the burden of mental health problems and has the responsibility to promote mental awareness and support prevention efforts. What's more prevented than having a licensed social worker speaking to a child who's struggling with mental health? Not only do our schools need help, but this county needs help, period. Need I remind you of that billboard each of us view at the intersection in Chestertown? We need to tackle help for our children before they grow up and become just another number on that billboard. And see, this leads to another huge issue. Our county lacks public transportation. When we want help for ourselves and our children, we have to travel to the Western Shore or suffer in silence because some of us can't afford to travel. We lack pediatric specialists in this area. You see growth from Fiber and Dixon, but fail to really see that there has not been really any significant growth in even the 23 years that I have lived here. We need changes. We need leaders who are here for us. And please don't say that you have or else you guys would have marched to Congress yourself for us. We need growth. We need funding for our schools. We need mental health services locally. Our county needs help, and you're not doing the job.
I'd like to take a minute and comment about the social worker program, or the addition to social workers that's been requested in our budget. Actually, there was a group of parents that went to the Board of Education a while back, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and they said this particular school had a lot of problems, really needed social workers, and the Board of Education said, we agree, but we don't have the money. About a week or two later, they come before us, Dr. Couch and some of our board members, and we pointed out where there was $875,000 still in their budget that could be used to purchase those social workers if they chose to. Well, a week or so later, they decided that they would. They hired one. And from what I understand, she's doing an outstanding job. But she's in Rock Hall 2 days a week. Kids go to Rock Hall 5 days a week. The other days, I guess, are spent, I'm not sure whether it's Galena or Garnett. But when someone stands up here and says that we, the 3 commissioners, are against social workers, it's just not true. And we pointed out where the money was to buy them or hire them. If they choose not to do it, that's not their fault. But they had $875,000 unaccounted for in their budget, and we pointed it out to them in this very room. Now, if one of my commissioners wants to tell me that's not true, speak up. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Karen Ireland.
Good evening. Yes, my name is Karen Ireland. I'm coming from Kent Center, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for increasing our budget this year. For people that haven't heard about Kent Center, we provide services to people with different ability. I've been involved with Kent Center for about 3 years now. In the 3 years, we have increased by 25 new people receiving services. So we are now providing services to 75 people. We have about 4 new individuals that are going to join our family in June. We also provide residential support. We currently have 12 homes, so we have increased our number of homes by 3 in the past few years. And I just want to thank you. The services that we provide are very important. We receive federal and state funding, and with the new regulation, the way that we provide services is changing. It's being very challenging, but we are up for the challenge. So again, just want to thank the commissioner, want to thank the town of Kent Center for your support and all the citizens supporting Kent Center. Thank you.
Out of order. Robbie Bear.
Good evening, President Pickram, Mr. Fithy, and Mr. Short. Gina Takamowitz from Kent County Public Schools. As you've heard repeatedly tonight, the needs and demands of our staff have changed dramatically over the past decade. Specialized support and expertise is necessary in our classrooms. Having served in this community of schools as a teacher, helping teacher, principal, and supervisor for over 25 years, I respectfully request that you consider dedicating more than 38% of the county budget to our students. I do believe that each of you care deeply about the community, and I know that you understand public schools are a very important part of that community. There may have been a time where 38% of the budget was sufficient, but this is no longer true. Just like each of you, we expect our public schools to be safe and offer quality programming. But I'm here tonight to let you know firsthand that 38% is not enough, and I'm genuinely concerned about the future of our system. The requests included in our school budget represent important investments in meeting the social needs of our students, and I understand that you are there to support us. With an eye toward competitors such as Queen Anne's, Talbot, and Queen Anne's and Cecil counties that could lure away good teachers, this budget also seeks a modest increase in teacher and support staff pay. The idea is to prevent the kind of turnover that has plagued our small district before and caused a sizable increase of inexperienced educators. It will also make it more attractive to help us retain our top experienced teachers. These are teachers we count on in order to sustain our long-term professional development needs. Fully supporting our budget will allow our system to better compete with other Eastern Shore counties in our efforts to recruit and retain. Whether it's moving the needle on academic achievement, conducting staff observations, our principals are asked to do so much more than ever before. But if you ask them, they will tell you how lucky they are because teachers step up every day to help them with their daily duties. But the bottom line is, our teachers need your support, and they desperately need school-based helping teachers by their side to better serve our staff and our students. They are amazing instructional leaders, and with the support of a helping teacher, they can remain focused on improving teaching and learning. Helping teachers, a modest pay increase, and social workers in each school are not pie-in-the-sky requests. They are truly what is needed to move our schools forward. I do appreciate you listening tonight, reflecting, and I do hope you will consider the percent of your budget dedicated to our schools. Think of where we are now and our potential to be great. Please be a public school champion and go beyond 38.
Hi, my name is Robbie, and you all know who I am. So as you know, I've been following the goings-on here at the Commissioners' meetings for the past couple years, starting primarily with an interest in what was going on with the school consolidation, but with growing concern as I became familiar with the various issues that our county faces under your leadership. So throughout this process, I've learned how businesses and organizations best work with you. They start by thanking you profusely for anything that you've ever done for them. They march up here and they talk about how grateful they are and how generous you've been to them in the past. Then they make their request and hope for the best. They don't push their case if you say no. They don't argue. They go home, and then later they explain to me that they need to play nice because if they get on your bad side, you'll start rejecting their requests for permits or funding or whatever it is that they're asking for out of spite. So I've been told by these same people, business leaders, nonprofit leaders, community organization members, that I need to play nice with you today. That if I keep saying you aren't supportive of our schools, you'll start taking away funding out of spite. That I need to thank you again for fixing that football field, which somebody already thanked you for. Well, believe it or not, I actually think more of you than that. I'd like to think that nothing I say or do will force you to put your bruised egos ahead of what is best for our kids. But this budget is unequivocally, without question, a great big no to education. Dr. Couch laid out exactly what she felt our teachers and kids need. She told you what the increased funding was going to pay for, and you spent most of this budgeting process arguing about fences and the 3-year-old program that you aren't even going to have to pay for. You have found all kinds of reasons not to fund her budget, and most of them involved questioning her ability to make choices that are best for the kids in her care, which is her job, after all, not yours. She's the one who has the doctorate in education, not you. She's the one who has decades of experience in the public school system, not you. The budget you'll be voting on for next week actually decreases the dollars Dr. Couch will have to work with next year. I'm going to assume that you know and understand what Dr. Couch is hoping to accomplish with her requested budget increase, things that will improve our schools and services. And so I'd like to think that the actual reason you would vote against her funding request is that the county simply doesn't have the money to pay for it, and you just can't figure out how to fix that. But if that's the case, why don't you just say so? I believe the actual issue here is not whether the buses can share the depot, it's not whether the 3-year-old program is going to interfere with a family center services, it's not whether having counselors as full-time staff is better or worse than contracting them. I believe the issue here is that you've been looking at flat revenues for the county for the entire duration of your terms in office. And the only thing you know how to do when dealing with the budget is to dole out about the same amount as you doled out the previous year, knowing that it'll basically keep things afloat. I understand that figuring out what to do with our financial situation is a daunting and difficult task. And I'm the first person to say that I don't think we pay you enough to do this job. But the fact is, you signed up for this job. This is your job. You knew what you were in for, and you told your constituents that you could do it. I happen to think that telling all of your departments year in and year out to keep tightening their belts and hoping for better luck next year isn't a plan. It's a failure. A failure to buckle down and figure this out, and a failure to lead. And so I'm asking you to take this budget and start all over again. Figure out what you're going to prioritize. You all claim you want to prioritize economic development and education. Approach your budget with that in mind. Figure out what small things can move the ball forward. Figure out what big things are worth investing in. Listen to our business leaders, our families, our nonprofits. Understand what it is your constituents want and need. Create a vision for the future that we can all get behind. Put the principles of our comprehensive plan to work, for goodness sakes. Inspire all of these people who have told me to play nice to come here not in fear of potential retribution, but to come here in partnership and trust. Be the leaders we are all asking you to be. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Tim O'Brien. I have 2 kids in Kent County, and I'm very happy with everything. And I also just want to say I do agree with all of the comments made here today, but I wanted to change the subject. One of the things that I actually like looking for solutions. One of the things I would like to invite people here, and also I would like to understand maybe a response from the commissioners. If you quickly download the Kent County over-the-counter tax records, these are all the basic properties around the county that have not paid property taxes, that are going in default or having problems. Our schools are funded with property taxes. If you quickly take a look at Queen Anne, all the other counties around here, you see their lists, maybe half a page, 1 page of default properties, poverty, whatnot. You look at Kent County, we have 5 pages of unpaid properties, or properties that have not paid property taxes. Literally, and I'm not trying to put anything out on anybody, but we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in Kent County of unpaid property taxes, uncollected, which is the basic job of the commissions. They go to tax, but basically doing a quick list of the names, you see names after names. I did a quick thing. You just look up the names of the businesses on the Maryland databases. You can cross-check with court records. If anybody wants to download these, they're all online. I found it very interesting, like right here, Dutch LLC, Churn Creek Land Associates, C.D. Reed & Sons, Charter. There was 5 different companies that collectively own many properties, collectively owed $100,000 in property tax. As of right now, they owe this county $100,000. These companies owed $100,000 last year. They all belong to one person, Charles Reed. One individual owes this county over $100,000 in property taxes. They didn't pay it last year either. And then all the other people on this list. Our list of uncollected property taxes is larger than any other county in the area on the Eastern Shore. This is, I don't know if you don't have a person to collect it or enforce it, but this is a problem, and I really would like to know of a response of why Kent County is disproportionately not making people pay their property taxes. I've got 2 properties in this town. If I don't pay my property taxes, I expect there to be consequences. So I'm baffled that someone is not doing this.
In many of these properties, familiar, they were sold at the tax sale this year. They go to the tax sale.
They go to tax sale and they don't get bought up and they roll over and they're same.
Somebody has to bid on them, and if people aren't purchasing at tax sale, they're available for sale later, and then they go back in.
And they go back in year after year because they are undeveloped properties that nobody wants to do, and the persons that own them are litigious. And you go back over the years and you will see the same properties have not been sold. They sit that or they're resold to the same individuals who continually do not pay their property taxes. There are hard case people, I'm sure, that have problems. This is a generous county. People know each other. They don't want to do this to your neighbors. But if you look at the records, you will find individuals that own companies under different names not paying their taxes, not paying their fair share that does not get allocated to the schools. So thank you.
As Mr. Yeager did say that we do put those properties up for tax sale annually, and it's up to individuals, and there are those who are aggressively bid on those properties to lay claim. That's how we get our revenue. We cannot confiscate an individual's property like that. Just belong to the county. Can't do that. So we try to do what we can. Okay. Darren Tillman? I think I got that right. I got that wrong, didn't I?
You got that absolutely right. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Darren Tillman. I spent the day today volunteering on a field trip on 3 Kent County farms with Kent County's 3rd graders. I love 3rd grade. It's all potential still. Nothing has really gone wrong by 3rd grade. And I was reflecting about how farms in spring are like that too. Just tremendous potential and beauty in this county. And I was really honored to be there with my 3rd grader. Our family moved here less than a year ago, and we moved here ready to be a part of this place and contribute to the economy, the agriculture, the community that we were joining. And we've gladly given thousands of dollars in our volunteer hours, both in things like school field trips and in grant writing and in other community endeavors. We came ready, but we came over the objections of future colleagues at Washington College, even the objections of family members because of the reputation of our public schools. You know, we were told, you'll want to live across the bridge. We decided to see for ourselves, and I'm so glad that we were lucky enough to meet some incredibly smart, passionate, hardworking people on our very first visit to our public school, Garnett. Many of those people, staff and parents, are here tonight. We saw so much potential in those schools in our community. We are so proud to be public school parents and Kent County residents. We know that there's a great deal of potential here, but potential won't do. Not for crops, right? Not for our kids, and certainly not for our county. I had hoped in meetings with you all and in coming here tonight to see an indication of support, and I just keep hearing adversity. I hope that our leadership can live up to the vision of the comprehensive plan you've adopted. I think that using some of the ideas here tonight, investment, not expense, collaboration, vision, is the only way that we can live up to some of this potential. Thank you.
Nathan Schroyer.
Good evening. I'm impressed every time I come here to hear the presentations. They seem very clear, and obviously tonight's focus was on economic development. That's great. That's where we need to be going. So thank you for that, and thank you for your budget. I know you're all running for re-election, and I'm surprised by that because at other meetings I'd been to, there were indicators that you weren't, but you're running for re-election, and Billy being the youngest on the board at 6 years, I guess, but the other two now at 16 and 20, maybe. Thank you for your service. It looks like the room is filled with people who are supporting public schools, and if you listen to the way that the budget was described, it's a budget that supports public schools. There were probably 16 slides on, really great indicators of what the money's going towards and how you've fully funded the school system. Listening to the audience feeding back to you, clearly there's been some misgivings. I have a kindergartner in the public school system. We choose to send him to a school that we think is great, and we fully support it here at Garnett. And his school year was traumatized when the busing happened on the 50th anniversary of the federal busing here in Kent County. But I want to raise a couple points. I'm a small business owner. I work in historic preservation of historic houses, which you have many here, and I love the housing structure here. And I do affordable housing. I'm interested in bringing affordable housing here because I keep hearing there isn't affordable housing on the Eastern Shore in general. And so I've done that. And so I have two identically priced properties. One's in Churchill and one's on High Street, a block away from here. And they're identically priced. They're both 3 bedrooms. I listed them on the same date. I immediately got 20 responses for the Churchill property. And of those, all of them were families with children. 3/4 of those were families with children from Kent County that are desperate to find Queen Anne County housing because they want to get their kids out of this school system. 0 responses from families on High Street, 1 block from the school. Both of them 1 block from the schools. So, people talk about apples and oranges, Queen Anne County, Kent County, and I get it. I think Kent County has a lot going for it. I love Kent County, and I live in Cliff City. It's a historic part of the county, and I'm always digging into the history down there. It's Quaker Neck. I'm a Quaker. I appreciate the long history here. It has been a great history all the time. So I'll just wrap up with this. 1618, the map there shows Virginia. 1618, when we were still Virginia, the first slave ship arrived to Jamestown. This county has complicity that it doesn't deal with, and it's one of the weights that's dragging the county down and dragging the school system. So of those people who came to my house in Queen Anne County trying to get out of Kent County, they were almost entirely black. They were people who were saying, we're finding racism in the school and indicators and violence in the schools that I can't continue to send my kids to those schools. So as you invest in our schools, I think you need to invest also in taking your time to present to the county in general, what are we funding? What sort of culture are we funding? Because what I see out in Cliff City is I see the big truck rumbling down every day with a county employee, and I don't know what he's doing. But it's a big truck. I know it costs money. I appreciate that you all paid for the fuel costs this year for the school buses. I saw that in the budget. Thanks for that, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Fiona Lum.
Hi. I have 3 kids in Galena Elementary, and I just wanted to thank everybody at Galena for doing a great job this year. I want to say that the teachers go above and beyond to provide a great education, a great environment, and, we really appreciate it. We also have a great group of parents at Galena who help out whenever they can, attend STEM nights, and we try and support the school in every possible way. I've also been president of the PTA for the last 2 years. We have a great, very active PTA. We do a lot of fundraising. And again, we spend a huge amount of time, and we donate a lot of our time and resources to helping the school be the best school that it can. We also have a huge number of volunteers, individuals, and organizations such as Galena Alliance, Millington Alliance, who help out a tremendous amount. My point is that the community donates so much to our school to make it great. And we would ask that you please try and find a way to find that extra little bit of money. I know it's not easy. I've worked for big corporations, and all these things need to get done. But please, I implore you, try and find a little bit extra, because I trust that Dr. Couch knows what she's doing, and if she says that's the funding we need, I have faith in her. The schools are good. My second point is that my husband and I returned to the States 3 years ago. We moved to Cecil County and intended to put our kids through Cecilton Elementary and Bow Manor, where my husband went to school, and they were excellent schools. We outgrew our house, and we could not find a larger house in Fredericktown, so we just moved south of the river to Georgetown, 400 yards, on a temporary basis, with the plan to move back to Cecil County the year after, when we had built our house. Anyway, we never left Kent County. We're still here because the schools have been great. Why would we take our kids out of an excellent school in Galena and put them into Cecilton, which is also great? But we've stayed because of that, and our tax dollars stayed because of it. I can't emphasize enough the importance of education. It's the bedrock of everything in this county. It will bring families in. It'll create economic development. You know, literally the only reason we are still here is because the schools have been good to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Joseph Wheeler.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here tonight to request an extension on removing the buses from the Public Works building. I met with Mr. Wayne Morris today, and Mr. Morris informed us that he wanted the buses moved by the end of the day on June 15th. At this point, that's impossible. We do not have a secure space to secure 16 buses this summer at this time. I'm currently working with Ms. Mordock and creating a site plan so we can put the fencing up at Wharton Elementary School. And that plan, to my understanding, will not be approved till your August board meeting. So that's going to put us out a few months. So what I'm asking is that if you guys could, at this time, please just extend the courtesy for us so we can keep our 16 buses there at the Public Works building. We thank you guys for everything that you've done for us this school year as far as allowing us temporarily to house our buses there. We do thank you for that. We appreciate it. We appreciate the fuel and your hospitality. However, I want to request that we are able to keep our buses there until the fencing is put up and buses are properly secured at Wharton Elementary School. Okay?
From a personal perspective, I would like to know why we just can't keep buses there temporarily until the fencing is put in place.
Temporarily where?
At Public Works.
Mr. Moore said that it's coming from the county. Okay.
That show me dollars and cents and why not? We'll look into that.
Okay. So my question is, are we granted an extension?
We don't know yet.
Okay. Thank you. You guys have a good evening. Thank you.
One of the things, that's the end of those who have signed up to testify. Do you have anything?
What a night. Pat, you did a wonderful job. Folks, I appreciate you guys contributing to the public hearing. I think a lot of good things were said. I think there are a lot of things I don't agree with and the way they were said. But that being said, over the last 6 years, as you see, I think we've done one hell of a job with the budget. Gentlemen spoke about taxes, property taxes. Not all those people are strictly just businesses that keep foregoing and the laws require us to do certain things. A lot of those people are people who are losing their homes because they can't afford to pay that fourth highest property tax rate, or seventh, second on the shore, rather. I mean, people are losing their homes because of that. So if the alternative is to raise property taxes to keep supporting higher budgets, then we're going to lose more of those families. that cannot afford to live here anymore. I don't know. I do think this was a sound budget this year, and I hope the citizenry as a whole, you guys are all very important sitting in this room, but I hope the citizens as a whole accept this kind of budget, because we do represent all 20,000 citizens in this county. And that's the way our budget has to be struck, for all 20,000 citizens. Though I do appreciate everybody's views, everybody's points. You come across crystal clear. Thank you, Dr. Couch and the staff. But I do have one thing I want to address, and this is outside of the box here. We have an organization out here, and we talk about Facebook, social, and this has to do with the budget, because it's starting to get alarming. When we sit there on the weekend and we read on post that an individual in this room right now, and I won't put her name out there, degrades us to the point where it almost becomes threatening when other people read it, being called effers. Okay? Posted on a live feed that circulates not only to the people in this room, but to our children, who you are sitting here trying to get the best dollar, the best buck for education. And if that's what they're hearing online, I hate to see what they're hearing at home. So, yes, I appreciate everything you guys have come here and said. I've said my piece. We will make the concrete decision we have to make. And I believe, as a whole, citizens in this county will agree that this is a sound budget for all citizens.
I would just like to say, just like we talked about with the social workers, that we pointed out where the money was available, they went back and for whatever reason they hired one, which is doing a great job, but it's not enough. We just pointed out where they have $600,000 left in the budget and 300 and some that we're going to give them addition. That's $900,000. I would suggest let's quit playing a shell game with our money. Put some of it in fund balance. Spend the money. Don't worry about next year. Next year is our problem. We are the fundraisers for the budget.
Very unreliable next year. You say that every year.
Well, then do it.
Do not interrupt the conversation, please. All right? Please sit down. Please sit down. We certainly will.
It might be ridiculous, but the money is there. I suggest that you spend it to buy what you want. 6 years in a row, there's been money left on the table every year for 6 years. This year, you're ending up with $1.3 million in excess. I don't know why. And, just like when, Mr. Becker.
I'm sorry.
Time to comment has passed.
Time for comment has passed.
When we had this school bus debacle, and that's exactly what it was. There wasn't 10 people in this county that thought that was a good idea. But the idea was we were going to do it because we didn't have enough money. Well, when it blew up in everybody's face and they had to do something about it, then they went out and bought 12 or 13 brand new buses, hired people to drive them, and never come back and asked us for a dime. They had the money to do it with. But the reason that they went with the Baltimore firm was that because didn't have mean old commissioners wouldn't give them enough money. But when push come to shove and they had to do something different, they never had a problem one. I just suggest there's $900,000. Spend it. Thank you. Spend it, and we'll see what happens next year. You are not the ones that have to provide the finances. We are. We're the funding part of the puzzle. Do what you need to do and come back next year. We'll see where we are and what we need to do. And we'll make it work. We've made it work every year since we've had a school system. Nobody is going to sit here and let the school system falter because of some bad decisions or for a lack of funding. It's never happened. It's not going to happen. And I want to thank Billy for bringing it up, because if he didn't, I was. That, we talk about the bullying in the schools and the nastiness and some of the, I've had, some people can come up here and say our school systems are great, and they are. But there's some issues. And I can name you 6 parents that have come to me about, and that I'm sure it happens all over. I'm not pointing a finger at Kent County, but about the bullying and kids and the social media. And then you read that SOS on social media. Some of those parents ought to have their mouths washed out with soap. That's just unbelievable. So if you're not going to do better from the parents, I don't know how in the devil we expect the kids to do any better. And I think that's abominable. And listen, they didn't do that. This whole issue has been choreographed from day one, and not just by those ladies. Thank you.
Now, go ahead.
This room right now, and the people who are really invested in our county. I just wondered, who in this room thinks that the priorities in the budget are right? Nobody's denying that things are right. But you said you thought it was a fair budget, people, it was good for the county. Who here thinks that this budget is the best budget for the county? Raise your hand. One. Who would like to see more priority, because there is a priority here. Who would like to see more priority given to education in this room right now? I can raise my hand to that too. I'm just saying, you say that this is a fair budget. That's representative. Constituents here that are engaged don't think so. We would just like you to listen to us.
We have listened. One of the things about it is in economics it's called a zero sum. There's only but so many beans in our pie. And as Pat Merritt had presented quite eloquently, what we have to go through all the time. Rest assured, just about every funding agency and department, except for Gales, find that, yes, they would like to have more. They say they need more. There's only but so much we can do. And understand, as Commissioner Fithian said, we have 20,000 people in this county. Only 2,000 of them are in our public school system. So we have to look at that. A significant portion of our population is over the age of 60. Okay, we do very, very little for our senior citizens, unfortunately. Transportation is a big issue here. It always has been. It is very difficult to find a solution, which we all will try to do, no matter what. This board and the next board will try to solve transportation issue. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very expensive. There's many other things that we would like to do and maintain the quality of life we have in our county. Okay, we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of effort. We all do not agree on things. And you may see a lot of our motions are passed unanimously. We don't necessarily always agree, but we still have to govern. We still have to lead. And that's what we're elected to do, and that's what we will do. Okay?
Do you think that maybe the reflection of declining populations and flatlining budgets are a reflection of the leadership this county has had through you for the last 16 to 20 years?
No.
Okay.
Well, you can disagree all you want to. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Forget the date. It was September 11th. We had the public hearing about the bus. So, I think there are equal opportunity destroyers. But I just wondered when you said you thought the whole SOS campaign was choreographed. I want to know who you think choreographed, because I don't want to walk out of here thinking the school board has had something to do with it.
I'll be the first. I'll answer that by telling you I don't think the school board had a thing to do with that. But I don't think it was done all by themselves. I think there's people in this room that helped put that together, that coaxed it on. They had speaking engagements together, and I'll let it go at that. But I'm not one that thinks that it was just a group of.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I do, and I got my beliefs, and that's maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's my belief. I don't think you had anything to do with it.
And I'm also saying I don't know what Mr. Short is referencing because
I'll give it to you tonight.
I'm not friends with the.
I'll give it to you tonight.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, I don't read it and I don't write on it, but I've had it read to me with some of the statements that's been said on there, and when I was a little boy, I'd have got in trouble if I'd talked like that. That's all I can say.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? So when you're talking about, I understand the $300,000 part, but the additional $600,000 is that you're suggesting then that we drain the fund balance?
No.
I want to know what you're saying. The $600,000. So besides the $695,000 that's already been dedicated to FY19, there was an additional $300,000 or so that you have on there, and then there was the $600,000 at the end, minus $500,000 for the fund balance, which is about $106,000. So you keep saying that you want. I just wanted to know what you're talking about that gets you to $900,000.
Where it says minus 500,000, that's their discretion. They were the ones that want to sit on that 500,000. It's there to be spent. You want to spend. Why did they spend the first 695? If you can't spend it, why did they allocate 695,000 of it to be spent?
Yeah.
If you can spend the 695, you can spend the additional 600. It's there. Then next year we'll put together a budget. There will be no fund balance. You'll do like every department. You'll come in here with your needs, and we'll try to do the best we can if we're still here to make it work.
But I'm sorry, doesn't the board that $500,000 fund balance?
No. No, it's not.
Then it's their decision. If they do, then it's their decision to sit on it, not ours. It's free for them to spend.
Not every school system in the state has a fund balance.
And no other department of Kent County's has a fund balance. They come to us.
Yes. Yes.
That's exactly right. That's why we carry a hefty fund balance.
Yes. Yes.
And then we won't have this discussion about what can be spent or what can't be spent. We'll all know. This shell game, look, listen, there was a time 2 years ago where they had $2.9 million in a fund balance. And I had board members come to my office in Rock Hall and say, Ronnie, is that really true? And I said, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't. And he said, and the person said, I know that, but he said, every year when we get ready to go into a budget, we ask how much money we got left from last year. And I'm always told none. We've spent it all. Now that, my dear, is deception. And that's how money goes missing, and that's how nobody knows where it's at. And then I was told later that they had other plans for it. Well, it's not up to them to have other plans. We, as the people that are looking out for tax money, we need to know where every dime is. And as long as I'm here, I will know where every dime is.
An $18 million budget is something that is constantly in motion, such as people coming and going and buildings and stuff. You know, fund balance of 500 doesn't seem like a lot. But if you guys are guaranteeing that extra emergency funds can be taken from the county budget, that's just something that...
That is our role.
That's our role. That's what always has been.
That's what we do.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to respond as a founding member of SOS that I'm not sure what any of the conspiracy is about. And I'll also respond to the fact that we have 1,400 members in our group, and much like you're trying to moderate this crowd, we can't always control the content in the group. However, we do have posting rules, and we have banned people for using language, people out for
Well,
using
you haven't banned enough of them, I can tell you that.
Well, 1,400 people is a lot to keep track of. This is a big room for tonight.
Well, you know some of them they're very close to you. So
If you would like to give me a name, I'd be more than
I can tell you what, we'll put it up on this screen and show some of the comments that's been made on that if you'd like to see them.
I would welcome that. I would also like to provide video of
Billy had trouble even reading one of them.
I know, but that's two people that just left this room who were completely rude again, Francois, and I respected you for years. That's two people that we've listened to for months. And Mr. Freisen in here come in last week and did a fabulous job pointing out the errors in our county, and this is what we wake up to 3 days later from the organization that does not like bullying in the school system. They want everything that they're asking for. But yet this, they're going to call us... I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. Because I'm telling you, that's how frustrating this is. And there are good people in that organization, and I'm going to tell you, after reading this stuff, whether it's directly on that page or whatever page they want to write it, if that's the parents that are representing the children, I'm telling you it's wrong. I would never, I got 3 wonderful boys, I would never put this out there today on any social media or in public or anywhere acting like this.
Without knowing specifically what you're talking about.
Now tell me, is that appropriate?
I don't think it is, but I'm also not.
No, it's not. Ma'am. Oh, it's totally beside the point. It's totally beside the point. But you've got people advocating for our children, for our kids.
And we are, I agree, this language is not appropriate. Ordinarily, we would have.
And it doesn't matter where that came from, whether it's that site or any other, Francois.
There are a number of parents who dislike us because of how hard we've come down on them for their statements about teachers and administrators and what's going on in our school. I will say to you that you are in a position as a public figure, an elected official for a county, and while I don't agree with everything that people are saying, they are welcome to say what they like about our officials and whether or not they're disappointed or accepting of the way that things are
We never said they weren't. They can write whatever they want, but we think it's a terrible reflection on as parents when we're talking about what's good for the children all the time.
Advocating.
I agree. There are certainly some.
And I'll tell you something else. I've been sitting behind this desk for 20 years. This is my 20th budget. I've been through 4 or 5 superintendents. Never been. We've had disagreements, and we've worked it out. I never experienced anything like this in my 20 years. So congratulations.
Thank you. It is a changing world, and there are lots of ways to get information out, and there are lots of ways to access information. I can't take the blame nor the credit for all of the information that gets posted.
Okay, I do agree it's a changing world. However, we can disagree without being disagreeable. And I realize that the tone has been set at the highest level in this country. Being, I'll say it, I don't have the words for it, being nasty. Okay? This is a small community. Okay? This is a very small community. This is what I grew up here. We don't have to, we're neighbors, we don't have to be nasty to one another. Just because we have a national leadership that is nasty, we can be very amenable. And as Commissioner Short said, Mr. Freisen did a very excellent presentation the other day. He mentioned several things which touched me very deeply, and I bit my tongue because I wanted to respond accordingly. Okay? This, we have to be more neighborly. We have to look out for one another. Those of you who are Christians should understand, you are your brother's keepers.
I can tell you that when the bus debacle went on, SOS went into action, and we made sure that parents on the bus route knew when the bus was coming. The bus has shown up here at 8:25. The bus has shown up here at 8:35. We were a resource for parents.
And some of our parents were not hospitable.
Yes, I will.
They were downright nasty to those employees.
Yeah, but they are also members of this community, and they are entitled to your representation.
I made it very clear. This budget represents all 20,000 citizens, all of them.
I don't believe it does.
Okay, well, that's where we're going to disagree. But that's fine. That's where we're going to disagree. Again, I will not, and this is right here on social media tonight. I will not change what we've already created here. I'll make it public. It is a good budget for all citizens of the county, and I think all citizens will understand that. If anybody in this room thinks different, that's what you do come November or June. And that's your right. That's your absolute right. But I've been here for 6 years, and this county's done nothing but go more positive on every direction, even the school systems. We heard a lot of good things about the schools. The fiber build-out, which, again, is an investment in the schools for every student in the schools. That's a $6 million. Hold on, Francois. Please let me finish. That's an investment for the whole county. What happened with KRM development and that investment from the commissioners here and the state of Maryland? That is an economic development project that will definitely help this county in a short period of time. And Lamont, all these promising things and the negativity that's come out this year, with all the positives, with everybody who's represented in here by us, who may walk out of here and say, you know what, you guys didn't do the right thing by us, or you might go out of here and say you did do the right thing by us. That's your decisions. But I believe that budget today showed great investment in this county and in the citizenry. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say something. First of all, I could be unemployed and offered a job being a commissioner. I wouldn't take it. I mean, it's unbelievable. 20 years, that's just unbelievable. So thank you. This is just a suggestion. It's so hard to solve any problem in public. It's so hard to do because everybody sort of takes sides. Would it make sense, this is just a suggestion, to take the superintendent, maybe one other person and their finance person, take one commissioner and the administrator, your finance person, and just sit down in private and try to make sure that everybody is talking about the same things on these different balances and such. I get confused. I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, but I get confused when I talk to the different constituencies, see how all these things fit together. So I'm just saying, would it make sense to do that and not have everything so adversarial in public? I know you couldn't have everybody in those meetings, but perhaps 5 or 6 people just to sit down in private, just a suggestion. There's a guy named Collins wrote a book called Good and Grace. Yep. And in that book, he talked about the difference between good and great, and we're good. Well, we're not creating a lot of errors because we spend so much of our energy fighting with each other. Well, I just make that suggestion. I know in our business we're always looking at how to get better, and we have teams doing that. Just a suggestion, maybe that's some way to break some of this logjam.
Well, to keep from having to worry about the open meetings and all that kind of stuff, what would be a good idea is let the 2 finance officers, one from the school and one from us, get together and fool with the numbers and show one another what's there, what's available, and what's not. That'd be a good starting point, because I don't see why the money that's left in the budget right now, that's going to be put in the budget this year, more than covers their requests. But they're looking at reoccurring money. You don't worry about the future. We have to worry about the future. Let's get what we need now out of what money is available, and then we'll move on next year, and we'll have to figure it out next year. But holding this money, we're too little to be putting $2 or $3 million aside waiting for a rainy day. We don't work that way.
Right, I don't argue with you. I don't know, because I get confused listening to different things. I think it's a good idea to finance people, but perhaps somebody else involved with that too, so more people can explain the background. What would that lose?
Nothing.
We don't want to spend our energies in this county doing this every year. I'm not arguing with you guys saying whether this budget is good or bad. I'm saying let's get the same common language so we know what we're talking about.
Well, I'm going to say this way. Over the years, the relationship between the school board and the superintendent and the Board of County Commissioners, sometimes it has been adversarial. But I must say that in the past couple of years, it's like night and day. Even though we may not necessarily agree on everything, but we still talk and we discuss things and we respect one another. It's very, very important to do that. Being the school system, administration, board, etc., have a really difficult task perform. It is not easy. I teach at a university. That is like a cakewalk compared to a public school. Okay? But, I have friends who are public school teachers and elementary school, special ed, et cetera. I would not trade that position for them at all. I really wouldn't. So it's a tough job, and it's tough things to do. The Board of Education has very limited authority on how to manage the school system. Personal view, unfortunately, they should have more. I believe in local school autonomy. But I think that working together, as Commissioner Fithian recommended, to finance the individuals for the school system and the county should get together. And they communicate routinely. But understand, that's only one part of county government as far as we see. It's a very significant part, but still only one part. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to say one thing, and I've been in the county a long time.
Identify, because I don't think you've spoken yet, so anybody who hasn't spoken should probably identify themselves for the record.
Oh, Carl Masoni.
We got to do it on the record, though.
Recorded. My kids all went to Kent County High School. You all know I've been in business in the county. You know I'm involved. You know I care. I want to speak for the parents just a little bit. Board of Education, Kent County Commissioners, you all do need to work together, and you are working together. But there's something, whether it's been done to everybody's liking or not, the parents need to speak. The parents need to feel that their voice is going to be heard. And, we used to have big PTAs. We used to have a case, we all remember back in the day, parents weren't always working. They weren't having to travel out of state. They weren't having to deal with a lot of the issues that they are. Our parents may not always speak beautifully, but they speak from the heart. They deeply care. They want our schools to be the very best that they can be. Let's find a way to hear those voices. Let's find a way to challenge that, because I think it's terribly important. I want our school system to be the very best in the state of Maryland. I find nothing wrong with having that as a goal. And I think I look back to Mr. Friesen, Reverend Friesen's comments, and I think that this may sound really corny at the end of a meeting like this, but we do need to love one another. We do need to work with one another. We do need to respect one another, and we do need to listen to one another. Our parents are raising these children. Our parents have so much at stake. We've got to pay attention to them. Thank you.
And one last thing. Please understand, it is just as any other board, governmental body, the Board of County Commissioners has to look at things with a critical eye. We may criticize, we may ask questions, maybe not to your liking. That does not mean we do not support, but we have to know. Period. I mean, when I was in business, that's what I had to do. You have to ask questions to ensure that you know what's going on and you're doing the right thing and going in the right direction. Okay?
This is my 13th budget, and by far the most interesting, to say the least. And we're going to come to some time in the near future where it's just going to be back in here. But I think I'd like to take what Ronnie said and move it back. I've seen the process. I sat here and pulled out my hair. That's why I've got it in my hair.
Me too.
And we end up, right, the ship is righted. And what I would think, if the finance officers get together and they work something out, whatever, that maybe we're about $200,000 apart, if we talk about dollars. And what I would suggest is, and I know you guys are going to do this, and I know the Board of Education is going to do this, why not wait, end of September, you got the first quarter results in, we've got our revenue in, we're going to get an idea of what our November income tax distribution is, meet again, and see how far, rather than waiting till next April to let it fester. think that you do that automatically. My personal treasurer, she does it every month. And you've got Jane Towers, she does it every month. I mean, I used to not understand, no offense to the school, I used to not be able to understand their budget. And now I understand it. You can see it. And what's so hard about doing that? I mean, you know, then we can.
It's a great idea, Bun.
Then we can hug each other. And
We're not going to sing Kumbaya.
why not? But also, you know, the political side of it, you know, there's a lot of emotion, and that's what we need. We can't have a superior school system without superior involvement. And I think we got that, and, you know, we're not good at this. We're not good at fighting amongst each other. No. But I think, you know, it'll work. It will come out some way.
It always has. Do we have any questions from the news media? You got enough to write this time? Oh, yes, sir.
So one of the things that I think, you know, we don't get to see is how you drill down into those budgets. So we really heard it in the school system because you dug into it. But for example, something that I read on social media might not be correct. The Queen Anne County budget and the Kent County budget are approximately the same in roads. But Queen Anne County has 212 miles more roads. That's the kind of stuff that if we could open up your process of how
It is open.
Well, all he's saying, sir, is that the budget process that we went through the last 6 weeks at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, every week those things are presented, and they follow through, whether it's on live feed, whether it's on presentation, whether it's on these sheets here. We do that. We may not get it all nailed down, but there is no secrets here. It's all out there. We do the same thing.
No, I understand it's open. I guess what I mean is there's open, and then there's whether the community is truly engaged in receiving the information. So your community feels like it's missing some information.
We had 3 people in here, sir, all budget season. So the community is not engaging with us.
Exactly.
So,
and I understand. I've also written budgets. There's probably a number of people in this room who've been in budget processes before and understand budgets. And I'm not trying to say that there's anything wrong with your budget. I think the budget probably is 98.5% correct, and is exactly what we need to have, or maybe it's 90%, but it's really close. What I'm suggesting is that the public believes that there's things that could be dug into. There's ways that we could be more conservative. There's maybe some you know, like I said, the truck that drives down to Cliff City every day, is it absolutely necessary? So perception is important in this, and I think that perception is something that's been difficult for you all and for the public. We would like to have a better grasp on where the money is.
No, I agree with you, which is why we now live stream our meetings here purposely for that, because no offense to our print media, they have only so many lines to print, you know, and they have to truncate things, but you can watch it live. Our budget workshops are announced, they're published, and they're open to everyone. You know, we've toyed with a lot of ideas, sending mailers out and quarterly and things like that. It's very expensive to do things like that. So if we find our live streaming, we don't record our meetings like other counties do. They have their little community access TV. Well, we don't have community access TV for the entire county, only in certain areas. This is why we video stream everything. It's there.
And that's for people who work. You know, if somebody's sitting there at their computer, they can hear, they can listen, they can still work. We try to make it accessible as possible. For again, not just the group, but all 20,000 citizens at all times.
Including the lady up in Pennsylvania who tunes in.
Yeah, she tunes in. She'll let us know if it's down. That's truth. That's true.
Yes, ma'am.
Very honest. The other day, I had
this is a public hearing, so everybody who speaks should identify themselves for the record. So, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Yep. Have a motion to adjourn?
Second. We are adjourned. Everyone got it here?